Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on where you are. Thanks so much for joining. Um, Today, we're going to be hosting a webinar named Master Your Data to Unlock Advanced Media Buying Strategies. My name is Leslie. I'm here with Ula. I'm going to introduce ourselves a little bit more later, and I'm part of the client services team. Cool. A little bit about StackAdapt. So we're a self-serve programmatic advertising platform where you can plan and execute and manage data-driven digital advertising campaigns. And this can be across all devices, inventory, and publishing partners. Now, if you already work with us, then you might know that already. And hopefully today can provide some inspiration. And if you don't, and you're just looking for some pro tips, then you've come to the right webinar. So my name's Leslie Wink. I'm an account manager in the UK.
And I'm Ula Subirai, and I'm a senior programmatic media analyst here at StackAdapt.
Amazing. So, on today's agenda, I'm going to start off by talking about, first of all, the data-driven marketing framework, what it is, how it works, how we'd look to apply this at a somewhat basic level. And then Ula will go more into how we would measure success here and how we can provide data-driven insights via our platform at StackAdapt. And at the end, we'll wrap up and we'll have the Q&A session. Hopefully that sounds good. Let's get into it. Cool. So first of all, data-driven marketing framework. So this is a little quote that I've made myself here. No more guesswork in the digital age. What is your data really telling you? Now, I think that this is where a lot of people miss out on opportunities to reach the right people better and improve performance and efficiency. Yes, data is numbers, but if you analyze it, there's a lot of opportunity there for creativity and to make better decisions if you know how to look at that data. So why don't we look at what data-driven marketing actually is? We've got a quote here from Allworks, which I think sort of summarizes this well, and it's a strategy that involves using large amounts of data to obtain actionable insights about user behavior to inform and improve marketing efforts. Sort of the main key theme here is just using data to be a better marketer, essentially. And this is crucial in today's world in digital marketing. You know, this is basically a skill that every single person needs to have and needs to improve on. And there's three main pillars here that we work with when we're thinking about data-driven marketing. So we've got reaching the right people. So who's actually engaging with our brand? How do we reach them better? We've got improving our overall performance. So, for example, if you're a retail brand or you're generating leads, how do we reach these goals? How do we reach those targets? By looking at each stage of the funnel, where can we boost investment better? And then the third one would just be, say you've got a solid foundation, you know what you're doing, but you just want to increase efficiency a little bit more. You know, looking at that data, where can we cut down costs? Essentially, how do we reach our goals as efficiently as possible? That's the key thing here, really. But it gets a little bit deeper. So why don't we look at the main areas? Yeah. So this graph from eMarketer, it was a little survey that just asked people where data-driven marketing is considered most useful to marketers worldwide. And at the bottom, you've got stuff like omnichannel marketing. Yes, we know that if we have a few different channels that marketers work with, we know that this will help drive more traffic, as an example. We go up a little bit more, and we've got things like forecasting results. We can use the data to predict how we perform within a given period. And we go up a little bit further, we've got personalization. Using that data to perhaps personalize our creatives. All right, these audiences are engaging with our brand more than here. How do we actually personalize our ads a little bit more, personalize our targeting strategy to better reach those customers? And then at the top, we've got customer journey mapping, which is probably the most important one and the biggest theme over the last 5 years. And we've got a little thing here at the bottom left, which shows a quote from Invoca, which is businesses who use data-driven strategies they drive 5 to 8 times as much ROI, return on investment, as businesses who don't. And customer journey mapping is kind of key here. As a brief summary, this is looking at where users are actually engaging with your brand and looking at that journey, that customer journey from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel. Now, if you're investing in one stage of the funnel, then you're not going to get everyone going through the bottom efficiently. And I think one graph that might show this clearly is if we go to the next slide here, it shows that there are different ways of actually attributing your campaigns and attributing your conversions. So if you, for example, only look at a single touch attribution model, say most people look at, I don't know, Adobe Analytics or Google Analytics, where last click is quite a common sort of way at judging campaign performance. This is great, but then it gives 100% credit to just the endpoint, right? Say that's organic or direct. And that is, it's not really giving the full picture, really. We know that at different stages of the funnel, as shown here, we know that these things had an impact, right? We know that these helped to drive the conversion at some point in some way. But if we're looking at just that last click, then we don't really understand that full customer journey. We don't really understand how these users are coming down the funnel. So that's sort of what we're going to touch upon a little bit here, because it's quite important and it really helps inform us, like, how do we use our data then to figure out where to invest our money. So, applying a data-driven strategy. I think first of all, one of the most important things is creating a unified view. So a lot of people may use, for example, multiple platforms, multiple sources, but not actually unifying the data, understanding who are our customers, how are they actually engaging with our brand through specific KPIs, you know, who's actually purchasing from us, who's interacting with our brand, and how are we actually reaching these people? How are we activating our ads to get these people engaged? And obviously, like, certain data management software and systems are in place there and hopefully should be in place there to try and get this unified view. And I recommend always trying to make this better, improve on this, always analyze on a monthly basis who we're actually targeting, who's engaging with our brand, and actually tying data from different sources into a single view will give you what you need to apply a better data-driven strategy. And why don't we go on that next slide and I'll show you what that data-driven strategy can actually look like. So at first you have your baseline. So you have analyzing your current data to identify inefficiencies, patterns, opportunities, also who's engaging with your brand, what contents are driving the most traffic. Also understanding from a bird's eye view, perhaps, how long is this conversion cycle happening per persona within that unified view? How long does it take someone to actually convert? Once we have these things as a foundation, then we can build our data-driven strategy around that, really. And that might not even be right. You know, that's fine. We have a baseline there and we can develop a hypothesis from that and test whether or not that's correct. So develop a hypothesis based on the learnings that you've got from your data so that we can create a better customer journey, optimize towards that customer journey. So, you know, ask yourself, how can I create a more efficient journey? Which channel should I be investing to, for example, create more traffic for then users to convert on the website? And then let's try and verify that hypothesis. Test this out. Adjust as it's running, see what's actually working, see who's engaging with your brand, what changes have you made that's actually having an impact. Perhaps it's not working the way you want it to, that's fine. Let's then share those learnings with the relevant teams. So for example, if we ran a creative test, trying to personalize our ads a little bit better to reach the right people, engage with the right people based on the data we've seen who's engaging with our brand. Let's share that data with our creative team, with our brand team. Let's brainstorm some ideas to actually better target these people. What test variations perform the best? What test variations can work better in the future? And then at the end, use these learnings, put these learnings into place and optimize towards them. And this should be an endless cycle, really. This should be an endless cycle of optimizing towards this, applying your new strategy, your new learnings, and then doing it again. New hypothesis, apply, apply, apply. Never ever should you have a data-driven strategy which you once a year apply a hypothesis, you've got some positive learnings from it, and then you're done. There should be an endless cycle of analyzing your data, seeing where we can be a bit more efficient, see if we're reaching the right people, and doing all of this to improve our performance. So we've got a couple of examples here. Our first one would just be a business-to-business buying journey. So, for example, with awareness, we just want to try and identify who we're actually targeting here. And we want to create targeting parameters and content based on these users. Based at a very basic level, what I was saying before about personalizing your ads towards your audience. You want to, for example, if you're targeting Gen Z as a retail brand, are your ads engaging and fun? Are they actually, are they actually driving a high enough CTR, for example, or enough view rate with that audience? And we know that there's a difference here from the data from this audience compared to perhaps people who were born in previous generations. Now, we next have considerations. So how do we curate our content based on this behavior? How do we drive these people slowly down that funnel now that we pique their interest? And then from then on, we have a decision line. So any concerns through the lead process, how do we sort of refine that relationship to then drive that actual sale and then loyalty? So essentially, all we're doing here is just analyzing that data from start to finish to understand that lead journey. Typically, with a B2B buying process, you have a lead generation process on your website, which, again, similarly to B2C, which we'll see in a second, is just using data the full way. If we look at B2C, then we can understand it's almost exactly the same here. Awareness, you're defining your audience, you're testing and refining your campaign based on the data. You're collecting your customer profile data, refining your data strategy, your data-driven marketing strategy based on the data that we're actually looking at. So it's fairly simple here. Again, referring back to that slide before, we're just looking at our data, building a foundation, coming up with a hypothesis as to what we can test here based on, say, a specific audience group being slightly more engaging than another. Applying some tests, running those tests, analyzing those tests, and then Bob's your uncle. Hopefully, this can provide some foundations for a data-driven strategy. Now, there's a few different ways in which we can do this. So the first one would be identifying personas. Again, that's kind of what I've been talking about the last few slides, which is an easy go-to here. Creating customer journeys based on historical data. A second option here would be using seasonality and trends to create content that's relevant throughout time. We know that, for example, at a basic level, if you create Christmas ads and Christmas content and push this around Christmas, it's more engaging, it works. The next one would be running personalized email campaigns, targeting customer specific preferences. Again, that's with your CRM models and your CRM databases, this should be fairly straightforward. I'm pretty sure if any of you have done CRM targeting before, that should be self-explanatory. Identifying buying patterns to promote the right products to the right or ideal audience at the right time. And this is where automation can come into play a little bit. Why don't we show that next slide, because this could help a little bit more with understanding that funnel. So essentially all we're doing here is just using data to create a cohesive multi-channel experience. The examples I was giving before is just using different channels, seeing where we need to invest in different channels in order to create a cohesive multi-channel experience. And then this is important because at a very basic level, we know that all of our buyers and all of our users are using multiple channels before actually converting, right? We know that people are engaging with YouTube, with certain websites, with video content. We know that they're looking at, for example, CTV, they're watching TV. We know that they're using Facebook, Instagram, different social media platforms. We know that they're using paid search. We know that they're using specific websites to gather information. So we know that users are using multiple sources, multiple channels before actually converting. And that's why it's so important to look at that multi-channel experience. How do we target these people at every stage of the funnel? And we have a couple KPIs here, which in this example could be relevant. At the top of the funnel, if you're investing into display, audio, and video and CTV, what sort of metrics should we be looking at as well? Like when we're analyzing that data, are we thinking about impressions, views? Are we trying to reach the most people here? Going down a little bit, are these people engaging with paid social, video, native? How do we measure success there? Well, let's look at clicks, perhaps, CTR. And then when it comes down to making a decision and making that final purchase or finally submitting that lead, let's look at CPA. How much does that cost altogether? And measuring that success is something that we're going to talk about now, aren't we, Lila?
Right. So basically, every business, depending on your needs, will define the success in slightly different way. However, as Leslie just mentioned, certain KPIs are quite similar for different stages of a funnel. So we decided to show you a couple KPIs that you can pretty much are the best measurement tools to tell you if you are improving, if you are reaching your success, right? So for example, cost per 15-second engagement, if the people who are visiting your site are actually engaging with your site. Return on your ad spend, if the money that you are getting actually comes back within the ad spend that you have invested, if your investment is actually worth the turnover that your business is receiving, as well as cost per action. Here in StackAdapt, you can set up your own pixel depending for any type of business need you need. You can have the leads, you can set it up for different parts of the purchase journey, as well as just double checking if the people are actually visiting the part of the site that you are after. You can also see the website traffic, measure the quality with time on site, click-through rate, and as well as viewability, thanks to our partnership with Moat. There is a couple other tools that StackAdapt offers, which you can set up and measure your campaign performance from a slightly different point. And these are the foot traffic measurement, which is powered by AdSquare and LiveSite here in EMEA, as well as brand lift, which we fully help you with that. So in terms of foot traffic measurement, you can look at slightly different measurements like visits. You can calculate visitation lift. You can see what is the trend by time of the day, as well as time of the week. You can also calculate the cost in terms of cost per visit, how much that person who's seen the ad actually cost you to visit, for example, your store or any location of your choice. In terms of brand lift, it's quite standard. However, it helps you measure your advertising effort in terms of your brand awareness, ad recall, in terms of sales lift, purchase intent, or brand affinity. Of course, it all depends on you, how you would like to set up the question, what type of answers you would like to see. Therefore, it is the best and one of the most efficient ways to minimize and also measure your brand awareness, and if, for example, your ads are actually memorable. So, however, now we could go back slightly to our reporting capabilities with StackAdapt. On the left-hand side, what you can see is our standard available reports that are available at all times for all clients on the platform. So, for example, you can have a inventory report, audience, conversion, strategy. You can also set up your own template with slightly different dimensions. You can have all the measurements. So for example, if you run brand lift study, you can view it also on the platform, as well as data and insights. So if you would run a FTA, that would be also, the results would be also viewed on the platform. So what I wanted to mention here is a couple advanced reporting that my team in particular can help you as a potential client or actually actual client, and what we can do for our clients. So for example, we are able to prepare a report for any type of revenue attribution or any type of passback information analytics. So it all depends on your passback value. But for example, if you are running a multiple in multiple countries, and you also have agreed that your revenue is in multiple currencies, as well as you are giving us an information what type of products were in the basket, we are able to basically give you a quite good overview on which creative have pushed that last purchase, how much was the actual revenue of the sold product, how much was it attributed towards, for example, different type of channels that you have used, or what type of channels the customer was actually exposed to. So in terms of conversion journeys, so like I said, we can basically tell you and kind of help you understand what devices, channels, times of the day, touch points, and which targeting tactics aided in the ultimate conversion. We also offer a certain service. It's basically a data science model which measures your ad effectiveness in terms of programmatic for to find a diminishing returns point when the frequency is no longer working in your favor. As well as we can look into creating a profile of your site visitor or converter, or even do a comparison between both. If the people who are potentially buying your goods are the same people, are the majority of the people that actually visit your site, maybe running a certain campaign to push that last demographics of site visitors who are not necessarily always convinced would be a good idea. So I think now we could go to a case study, which one of our clients is B2C online business. So we are running several reporting for them. So for example, we are running an average time from impression to site visit, an average time from click to conversion event, as well as, like I already said, multi-currency revenue reports, average transactions per basket, as well as we can estimate if adding additional channel have gave you an uplift in your sales. So in terms of product insights, we could also give you a small overview on the top product driving marketing clicks, or top creatives driving conversions or your sales, right? So in terms of the best practices that we are recommending is, of course, reporting framework. So building your reporting framework towards your needs. So like I said, we do have on the platform capability to customize your report and add the dimensions that you are you want to monitor. This also gives you the power to decide on your own what type of capabilities you need, what type of strategy you want to test, and pretty much how Leslie mentioned in terms of B2C or B2B capabilities. It's at the end of the day, it's you who decides what is the most important for you, what do you actually want to achieve with your campaigns. So in terms of mid-campaign reporting, you can always check on any type of metrics that are your KPIs, and you can use that data to optimize your campaigns for performance, to increase frequency, for example, if you're thinking you're not reaching, if you're not driving enough clicks, or if your reach is too slow or too low, you can basically broaden the targeting that you are using. So that gives you the whole power of interpreting data and optimizing your campaigns towards various goals, as well as it gives you a power to utilize all the tools that StackAdapt gives you towards your business needs. So we thought we're going to just give you a little bit on overview of our two best data-driven tools that are available on the platform. One of them is called Audience Insights. It helps you understand what makes your target audience unique. It also tells you where is the highest probability of people visiting a website, or where is the highest probability of people converting. So if your conversion, for example, was a purchase, it will tell you exactly where people are more likely to purchase your product. So it also helps you to improve your campaign strategy, like I said, with fully data-driven decisions, because you will be able to see all the demographics, all the geos, and all the probabilities where your campaign has the highest probability of success. So the second tool I wanted to mention is basically a forecasting tool. This is measuring your campaign's potential before you go live. So it's quite opposite to what I just mentioned. In the forecasting tool, you can check your scale, performance, double check your strategies, if your strategies would work, and StackAdapt, and also what type of results you could be expecting. It also gives you a budget guidance on how much you would need to reach your intended audience per channel. Additionally, you can also see if adding additional channel or running multi-channel strategy will be beneficial for you, depending, of course, on which stage of the funnel you are. So that will be kind of everything from us. So as a wrap up, we wanted to mention 3 main points that we have covered today. So the last click, which Leslie has mentioned, doesn't show you the full picture. You have to understand the full customer journey, and that enables you to be more effective on optimization. You can personalize experience and drive your results to your needs, and also measuring and reviewing your KPIs and your campaigns on let's say mid-campaign basis is one of the most important techniques. It helps you to optimize during the campaigns, remove a certain aspects which don't necessarily work, amend creatives, etc. And that way, we also need to decide on the right KPIs depending on your business needs, and also what is your aim from the funnel. If it's awareness, if it's the purchase, that way you can make informed decisions, identify areas of improvement, and once again optimize your strategies for a better performance. And now I'm going to just hand off to Leslie.
Thank you. Yeah, just before we go into a bit of Q&A, you know, if you haven't used us yet, we are very much capable of handling many different channels across many new demands. You know, we've got native display, video, CTV, audio, and some new ones which are really juicy, or in-game and digital out of home. Yeah, so I recommend exploring these options with your, you know, sales or account managers if you do already work with us. because creating and adding these channels can help increase your overall ROAS as well. And if you haven't used this yet, our DSP is super easy to use, so give us a go. Now into Q&A, because I've seen one question come through here, which I might help to answer. I know that little wrap up bit we touched up on last click, and someone's just asked, how do we move clients away from a last click mindset? So this is quite a common theme that comes up, I think, and I'd say that a lot of clients have a target of increasing sales or increasing leads year on year, which is fair enough, absolutely common, absolutely fair. Now, if they have that goal, but they're still stuck in like a last click mindset, then I like to give an example here. So if you're using analytics software to provide a unified view of all the channels, nothing wrong with that. You'll quickly notice that organic, direct, paid search, these are the top performing channels by last click conversions. Key thing there. They're the best performing by last click conversions. As shown before, that doesn't really show the full customer journey. And it might be quick for non-marketers especially to look at that data within the company and be like, well, this is where we need to invest in. Now, what I always like to say is, well, and especially when I work directly for brands before, is that if you want to grow revenue, why would you only invest in SEO, or why would you only invest in improving your website, or why would you only invest in paid search? Because we know that's people at the end of the sales funnel. There's nothing wrong with investing there. Absolutely. It needs to be a multi-channel approach here, using data to understand where we're actually having the most impact. Perhaps you're the most well-known brand in the world, and that's exactly where you need to be investing because everyone knows you already. And you just want to make sure that it's an easy sort of process for someone searching at your brand or going directly to your website that they can then purchase if necessary. But otherwise, it needs to be, it doesn't grow demand for other brands. You need to have that multi-channel approach, that multi-channel strategy in order to sort of drive those sales or drive those leads, whatever those goals might be. So I'd say if you're looking at only driving let me phrase this correctly. I'd say specifically, if you want to only look at the data that you're looking at your analytics software, then only invest in your website. Then it doesn't, you can see already, like, it doesn't actually, provide much ROI as a whole. Now, Ula, I think, are there any other questions here? We've got a few, I think, coming through.
Right. So the second question is, what type of value additional information do you get from foot traffic attribution? So foot traffic attribution ties the ad to the customer action. Therefore, it is easier to connect the ad exposure to the real world visits and the actual sales. I think the simplest example would be if, for example, a company that operates as real estate agent has several developments, and they set up their conversion as register interest. We could basically compare if those people who did register their interest have ended up in proximity to those locations, or maybe they were visiting the location. That's what drove them to register their interest in the development. So that is quite good way of measurement. Another question we have here, Leslie, I think that will be slightly better for you. What kind of clients in terms of size do you work with? Your service seems to be optimized for larger businesses.
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. I'll say that I basically work with any size you can think of. We've got small local charities with very small budgets. They're going onto the platform no problem. You can have, there's no minimum spend required there. We have bigger ones. The more spend you have, like the more sort of data you have to work with. That's all I can say. But regardless, if you're, say, if you're a local small company with a small budget targeting a small amount of people, like there's nothing wrong with that. And our platform is, it's a self-serve, really easy to use platform. So in terms of what clients we work with, everyone. We work with everyone. We've got another question here. So, will your current methodologies for conversion tracking work in the post-cookie environment? Yes, we actually are working towards that. So even now, we are combining cookie and IP conversion tracking to sort of verify those conversions. And IP tracking and IP conversion verification is a technology that's getting better and better, something that we're working behind the scenes on. We also have a lot of targeting capabilities which work without cookies. So this is definitely something that's been on our mind and that we're optimizing towards. I don't know, Ula, if you had anything else there.
No, I think that's quite spot on. I mean, we can also say that we do just measure the view through conversion as well, not only click through, which enable us to basically give you kind of a full picture, as well as if you are having second thoughts about last touch attribution, our team can provide you a comparison. How does multi-touch affect your conversion journey and your conversion analytics versus last touch?
Cool.
So the next question is, how would you measure the impact of programmatic as a percentage of the final conversion? I don't necessarily think we can say a percentage of the final conversion. However, as I mentioned, our data science team has built a model for ad effectiveness test, which basically provides information on how StackAdapt ads have contributed towards your KPI as a percentage, as well as how additional budget would impact your KPI. So as an example, we would estimate what is your potential conversion rate without StackAdapt, and then we would give you our estimation how StackAdapt helped or didn't to elevate a conversion rate or maybe site visit rate.
A little conscious of time, so I think we do have one or two more questions here, but we could go on and on, couldn't we? So I think we'll end it there, and we can do a little follow up after this webinar with any unanswered questions. But hopefully that was useful, and I hope you guys have learned something today in regards to data-driven marketing, maybe a little bit of inspiration. But this concludes today's webinar. So thank you so much for attending. I hope you did find it insightful. We'll be sending out a follow-up email. So don't hesitate to reach out to anyone from the team with any other questions you may have. Happy to answer them. Happy to provide a rundown of how it would work running with us. What sort of like budgets would work well with your specific strategies. No problem. We're happy to like discuss that with you. So thanks again for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.